Well, the first thing I'd like to say is that was as fine a atmosphere to play a college football game in as I've probably ever been associated with. Certainly like to thank our fans for the great enthusiasm, the great support today. We did not finish the game, and finishing things like we want. The last 3 minutes and 29 seconds to fumble the ball. They scored on a busted coverage. Get the onside kick. But then to get the block kick was a great effort. Not only that time, but the time we did it before the half. Cody and Marcel Darius are very, very good at pushing inside, and when we do max block, they're both together. So that was a fantastic effort on their part. I'm really proud of our players. I didn't want to say this, but I felt like our team was really tired this week. I mean, psychologically, probably more mentally than really physically. I mean, we had a lot of guys beat up, a lot of guys missed some practice, a lot of guys struggling to do what we need to do. But there was a lot of positives in this game today. I thought Greg played better in the game today. We got to get back to believing in our players and throwing the ball down the field and making some big plays in the passing game. And certainly with his performance today, I thought he did a really good job of throwing it to the right guy. We had some other opportunities to make plays that we could have made that we didn't. But they're playing us now, and they played us all day to stop the run. They played us all day to stop Mark. So we got to throw the ball. I mean, that's just what we got to do. And I know that there's not a greater competitor in the world than Mark Ingram, and nobody feels worse about turning it over at the end of the game than he does. But he has been a fantastic warrior for us all year long, and really played well today as well. So a lot of positives in this game, and it shows you. You talk about how fragile a season is in terms of you're controlling the game, even though you may say it's winning ugly or whatever. We're still ahead 12-3 and totally control the game with 3 minutes and 29 seconds and the ball. And that's how fragile a season can be. Make one mistake, and you have to go overcome it. And I hope that there's a lot of lessons for our team to learn, from this. And I think our focus needs to be on improvement. And that's what we're going to have to do. I have to give a lot of credit to Tennessee's players. They played hard, they were physical, played tough, competed well in the game, and it was a really good college football game. And they had a good plan and did a good job of executing it.
Coach, can you comment on what happened to Colin Peak today, and also talk about the mileage you were able to get from the Wildcat in the first half?
Well, Colin got somebody fell on his leg in pregame warm-up, and he actually sprained his knee. He tried to play, thought he could play. Doc thought he might be able to play. He tried to play and didn't feel like he could push off and cut as well as he needed to. I don't really know the status of the injury. I don't think this is a surgical knee or anything like that. I think it's more of a strain. And I think it's his MCL, the inside ligament. So hopefully we'll be able to get that healed up, and he'll be back with us in 2 weeks. But I think the bye week is certainly coming at the right time, for our team to get healthy and get some rest. But to answer, we did a good job of running the ball in the first half with the Wildcat, but certainly, we really need to. We can't be so risk aversive. I mean, we just got to be more aggressive in what we're doing on offense right now, because they're loading the box. We can't block them all. We can't get angles on them all, and we need to create the balance that we had earlier in the season. And that's what we'll work on doing during the bye week.
Coach, this could be called the game of field goals, or more importantly, maybe the game of blocked field goals. Speak to the tenacity of your football team when things seem to be going wrong in all the game.
Well, I think, great teams have great players that can make plays in critical situations in the game. And I think we had a couple defensive linemen that made some huge plays. But don't forget that Lee Tiffin made, I think, 2 50-yard field goals, which were huge plays. We had the wind in the fourth quarter, which was to our advantage, and he did a great job of hitting both of those. But, you know, there were plays out there that we could have made today that I wish we would have made, so that we can build on the positives. It's a great win for our team. And I'm so proud of our players. And we had some guys make some huge plays out there today, but I think there's more plays for us to make, and that's something that we want to focus on improving on.
Coach Saban, just talk about, you mentioned Lee Tiffin there. He essentially kicked 2 50-yarders. And in the position of field goal, you have to kick with a lot of confidence. And it seems like the past 2 or 3 weeks he's kicked with a lot of confidence.
He certainly has. He's done a nice job in practice. I think Lee feels good. He did a good job of kicking off for us today in distance and direction. So he did a fantastic job. So he obviously made 4 field goals today, but 2 of them were 50-yarders, and there was a little bit of wind out there, and it's pretty much a crosswind in our stadium. So he negotiated both of those and did a great job of hitting them. It was a difference in the game, guys. Those 2 field goals and the 2 we blocked.
Coach, on the second block, was that also Cody? And just give a brief description of what goes into Mac's block.
Well, I'm not sure who blocked the last one. I think Cody did, but I'm not sure. I mean, there was a big surge up the middle, and I didn't even see where the ball went. I was worried about where the ball went and who was going to get the ball and were they going to advance it, and I still haven't seen it. So I'm assuming that somebody got on it, and they still can't advance it. I'm hopeful. But, you know, most of the time in a field goal situation, they have, 4 or 5 eligible guys. There's a lot of different field goal fakes that you see, throwing it back to the kicker over the shoulder. You've seen that one. You've seen, the shuffle pass that Ole Miss ran on us last year. We've run a couple run fakes. We've run options before. Notre Dame scored on a Ranger play last week where, a guy hides out on the sidelines and they throw him the ball and don't put a lineman in there so the formation looks the same to the defense. Well, when you go max block, you're not really covering much of any of those things. You're saying they're going to kick it, that's what they need, and we're going to send all 11 guys to go get it. And you beach it, have 3 guys on 2 in the middle, which is what we call beach, and then a guy jumping behind it. And they get as much surge, and he goes as far as he can before he goes vertical. He's not allowed to jump over the top of players, but that's max block. And we hit 2 of them today, right before the half and at the end of the game.
Coach, how much did you think about going for it on 4th and go when it was so short?
Which one was that? It was 4th and a yard and a half when we kicked the other field goal.
Yeah.
It wasn't that short. If we'd have ran the ball on 3rd down and got within 1 yard, we would have gone for it. All right, but we threw a fade to Julio, and we didn't come up with it, whether the guy bumped him or didn't bump him. I don't know. You all see that better than I do with the replays and all that. But it wasn't that short. I mean, if we had gone for it and wouldn't have made it, we wouldn't have won the game. So you can criticize me for a lot of stuff today, but that ain't one of them. I don't deserve that. Especially when a game is as close as it is, you got to take the points.
Coach, can you talk about how Mark Barron has been progressing? He had another interception today, that one in the first quarter when Tennessee was driving.
Well, Mark has been a fine player for us all year long. I think he gains more and more confidence because he's more comfortable in what he's doing. He plays several roles for us. He plays safety as well as dime, and those are totally 2 different positions. One's a linebacker type of assignment and the other one's a safety type of assignment. So he's got a lot of confidence in those things and plays with a lot more consistency now and is making a lot more plays because of it. But he's been very physical on the run. He's a good tackler for us. He's very instinctive, and he can play the ball in the air, and that's why he's making some of the interceptions that he's making. But made a lot of big plays in the last few games.
2 more. Coach, if you could just talk a little bit about your best players not just being willing to play special teams, but embracing it, and I guess the factor that was today.
And who are you speaking of?
Well, Cody and Rolando, those guys getting out there and playing special teams as opposed to being willing to, but being embracing the opportunity.
Rowe plays on the punt team, and we have a lot of players that Corey Reamer's the best special teams player we have. He plays on more teams than anyone. We try not to play starters on more than one team, but field goal block is basically done with defensive players. It's not, you don't really substitute players to do that. You may substitute a player or two, but it's basically done by the defensive players and the defensive personnel. Cody would be a nice fit in the back on the wedge on the kickoff return. I don't think the guy coming down and hit blocking would be too happy about that. But I think players like the challenges of different roles. I know he loves the challenge of playing some on offense in short yardage. He loves the fact that he's helping the team, and it gives him an opportunity to do something a little bit different. And I know the fans enjoy it, and he enjoys it, that they enjoy it. But we have a lot of players that are willing to do that. We don't have any players who don't contribute on special teams. Marquise Johnson. And then we have some core special teams guys. Tyrone King does a great job on it. He had to play last week for Hobby. He did a great job in the game. But he plays on almost all the special teams. So we have quite a few guys that do a good job. Marquise Mays plays on some special teams and does a really good job. So we have a lot of guys that do a good job. Roy is one of the best special teams guys that we have. You have certain position guys on your team that need to be good special teams players. You need to have running backs that can do it. You need to have a few wideouts. You got to have a lot of DBs and linebackers. Those are the and tight ends. Those are the body types that you're looking for to have good special teams.
Coach, I've got a two-part question. First, just talk about their ability to be productive in the passing game. It seemed like Crompton probably had the best game that a quarterback's had against you this year.
Well, I think that they have a good offense. They have a good offensive concept. They do a lot of stuff in regular people. He's played very well in the last two games. I think he had over 300 yards passing against Georgia. I think we played to stop the run a little bit more. They have a very good play-action game, and they hit us on a couple big play actions. They checked the one when they got us in three deep zone and knew the linebacker was going to be on Hardesty on a wheel route, which we knew it was coming. We just didn't do a good job of covering it. But what's a concern to me is in the last two games we have not covered as well or played as well on third down and haven't gotten off the field on third down. And I think that where we were getting pressure, we're not getting as much pressure, and we're going to have to do a lot of work on third down. And I think our pass defense is good. I think the last play was a big play. We're in a fire zone. Marcel Darius ends up on their tight end. Not a good situation to put the guy in that particular formation. Those are the kind that you wish you didn't call, that you had back, and you didn't put a player in that situation. But we were expecting something a little different in that situation, and they got us in a good one. But, we missed some tackles on some passes. They hit us with a screen pass. They hit us with a deep over. We intercepted a deep over. So when you're playing them up there in three deep zone, there's plays to be made down the field. But that's the way they played us, and that's what we need to do.
And you've gone through a stretch of 5 SEC games in 5 weeks. Do you feel like you kind of used all the gas in the tank going into the open week?
Well, I don't think we had much gas left in the tank. I think that our players play hard. They play physical. They play with a lot of toughness. And I think we've had 3 really tough games in a row. 3 really tough games in a row. And that's not to disrespect any of the games that we played before that. But we've had 3 really tough games in a row. And a few of the players that we've lost, especially on defense, has made more players play more plays. Damian Square in the defensive line, and Dante Hightower. We've got 3 different guys doing what he did, but he was still an outstanding player for us and the best pass rusher we had. So some of the things that we're doing to maybe generate pass rush are making us a little thin in the back end, and we're not covering and playing as well as we did earlier in the year. and we're going to need to work on improving that.